Welcome back to Timeless Wisdom. Today we are going to be tackling a concept that, it might seem a bit paradoxical at first glance. The idea of servitude in Islam.
I see.
Yeah, it's a term that can carry some pretty heavy baggage for some.
Right.
But I think you'll be surprised by what we discover as we sort of unpack what the Quran has to say about it.
It's definitely not about, being subservient or losing your individuality.
Right.
We're going to be looking specifically at Surah Al-Baqarah,
Okay.
the second chapter of the Quran, which offers some really fascinating insights into how servitude is actually about achieving a higher state of being.
So let's dive right in. I know the Quran makes a distinction between being a slave to God and being his servant.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that for our listeners?
Sure. So the Quran tells us that all of creation is essentially a slave to God's will, meaning everything from the laws of physics to the movement of the planets, it's all bound by divine order. But what sets humans apart is our capacity for choice, our free will.
So while we are all subject to God's will in a sense, we have the unique ability to choose how we respond to it.
Precisely. And that's where the concept of servant comes in.
Okay.
When we choose to align our will with God's will, not out of compulsion, but out of love and understanding, we achieve that status of servant.
That makes me think of the verse in Surah Al-Baqarah 2.186, where God says, "When my servants ask you about me, I am indeed nearmost. I answer the supplicant's call when he calls me." It really highlights that intimate connection between God and those who choose to serve him.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful testament to the honor and privilege that comes with servitude. And this idea of finding purpose and fulfillment through service to something greater than ourselves is something that even modern psychology is beginning to understand as well.
That's true. We see it in, this growing emphasis on finding your purpose in life. It seems to be this innate human need to connect to something bigger than ourselves, to find meaning beyond our individual existence.
Absolutely. And Islam provides a framework for that connection through the concept of servitude. But I know some listeners might still be struggling with the word servant itself. It can have negative connotations, especially in today's world where individuality and autonomy are so highly valued.
Yeah. No, you're right. It is important to emphasize that servitude in Islam is not about blind obedience or losing one's sense of self.
Right.
It's about recognizing that true freedom comes from aligning ourselves with the divine will, with a purpose that transcends our limited human understanding.
And it's in that alignment that we discover our true potential. But, it's not a passive surrender.
Right.
It requires active engagement, continuous learning, a conscious effort to refine our character and actions.
It's a journey, a process of growth and transformation. And speaking of journeys, there's no better example of this than the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
Right.
The Quran repeatedly refers to him as our servant.
Yeah.
Even when describing the most miraculous events in his life, the night journey.
That's such a powerful point. Imagine being taken on a journey through the heavens,
right?
Witnessing the wonders of creation. And yet, even in that moment of divine closeness, the Quran highlights his status as a servant. It speaks volumes about the true nature of servitude.
Yeah. It suggests that true greatness lies not in power or status, but in humility and devotion to God. And recognizing that even the most extraordinary individuals are ultimately servants to a higher power. And what's fascinating is the Quran also tells us that there was resistance to this idea even during the Prophet's lifetime.
There was.
Yeah.
People struggled to accept that the Prophet was a human being, just like them. For example, in Surah Hud, verse 27, the disbelievers said, "We do not see you as anything but a human being like ourselves. We do not see anyone following you but the lowest of us, unthinkingly."
It seems they were looking for something more supernatural, something that visually confirmed his status as a prophet. They couldn't reconcile his humanness with the profound message he was delivering.
Exactly. And their reaction is understandable. Humans have a tendency to place their leaders, their heroes, on a pedestal. We want them to be extraordinary, almost superhuman.
Right.
But the Quran makes it clear that the choice of a human prophet was deliberate and purposeful.
So there's a reason for the Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, humanness.
Yes, a very important reason. Imagine if he had descended as an angel or some otherworldly being.
Right.
Could we as humans truly relate to him?
Right.
To his struggles, to his journey?
Yeah.
Could his teachings be as accessible and impactful? I think not.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It was through his humanness that he was able to show us that servitude is not about being otherworldly or perfect.
Right.
It's about embracing our human limitations and striving to live in accordance with God's will in the midst of our everyday lives.
And it was through his humanity that he, peace be upon him, was able to connect with people on a much deeper level.
Right.
It made his message, the message of Islam, much more relatable and understandable.
So it's not just about accepting these abstract theological concepts,
Right.
but also seeing how those concepts are embodied in a real relatable human being.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial aspect of servitude.
Okay.
Knowledge and understanding. It's not about, blindly following rules. It's about comprehending the wisdom behind those rules.
Okay.
And choosing to follow them because we recognize their inherent value.
So the deeper our understanding of God's will,
Yeah.
the more natural it becomes to align ourselves with it.
Yes, because we start to see the beauty and the logic behind it. Think about it this way. When we understand the science behind a healthy lifestyle, we're more likely to choose nutritious foods and exercise regularly, not because we're forced to, but because we recognize the inherent benefits.
Right.
Similarly, when we delve into the wisdom of Islamic teachings, we recognize the inherent goodness and benefit in aligning our lives with God's guidance.
That's a great way to put it. It resonates with this idea in modern psychology of aligning our actions with our values.
Yeah.
When we live in accordance with what we believe in, we experience a sense of inner peace and fulfillment.
Precisely. And Islam offers a comprehensive framework for aligning our values with the divine will, leading to a life of purpose and meaning. It's not about suppressing our individuality.
Right.
It's about discovering our true selves through the lens of servitude to our Creator.
And the Prophet's life, peace be upon him, provides the perfect blueprint for this journey of self-discovery through servitude.
Yeah.
He faced challenges, he made mistakes, he experienced the full spectrum of human emotions, yet through it all, he remained steadfast in his commitment to God.
And that's what makes him such a powerful role model.
Right.
He didn't live a life detached from reality. He showed us how to navigate the complexities of everyday life while upholding our spiritual values. The Quran doesn't just give us a set of rules. It shows us how to live those rules, how to embody them in our interactions, our decisions, our very being.
It's about integrating faith into every aspect of our lives.
Yes.
Not relegating it to, a specific time or place.
And that's where true transformation happens. It's not about achieving some unattainable level of perfection. It's about constantly striving, learning from our mistakes, and continuing to move forward on this path of servitude.
So it's a journey of continuous learning and growth, much like the emphasis in modern psychology on personal development and self-improvement.
There are definitely parallels there.
Yeah.
Both emphasize that we are not static beings. We have the capacity to change, evolve, and become better versions of ourselves. And Islam provides a roadmap for that evolution through the principles of servitude, guiding us towards a life of virtue, compassion, and service to others.
I'm curious, you mentioned earlier that servitude isn't about passivity or submissiveness. Can you expand on that? Because that's a common misconception, I think, especially in cultures that value assertiveness and individuality.
It's an important point to clarify. You see, true servitude in Islam is actually a source of empowerment. It's about recognizing that our true strength lies in aligning ourselves with a power that's greater than our own.
So it's not about denying our own power. It's about channeling that power in a way that's aligned with a higher purpose.
Precisely. And that alignment frees us from the limitations of our ego, from the constant pursuit of, fleeting desires.
Right.
It connects us to an infinite source of strength, guidance, and wisdom.
It's like tapping into a wellspring of unlimited potential.
And it's in that connection that we discover true freedom. Freedom from the tyranny of our ego, freedom from the fear of failure, freedom from the constant need for external validation.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It reframes servitude not as a form of subjugation, but as a path to liberation.
And that liberation extends beyond our individual selves. Servitude in Islam is not a solitary pursuit.
Right.
It's a way of life that's meant to be lived in service to others for the greater good of humanity.
So it's about recognizing our interconnectedness and our responsibility to contribute to a more just and compassionate world.
Exactly. Think about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He wasn't just a spiritual leader. He was a community builder, a social reformer, a champion for the oppressed. His life exemplified how how servitude to God translates into service to humanity.
His life was a testament to the transformative power of faith in action.
And that's the beauty of Islam. It's not just a set of beliefs or rituals. It's a holistic way of life that encompasses every aspect of our being.
Right.
From our personal relationship with God to our interactions with the world around us.
It provides a framework for living a life of purpose, meaning, and service to something greater than ourselves.
And that's a message that resonates deeply with the human spirit, regardless of one's background or beliefs. Because at the end of the day, we're all searching for that sense of connection, that feeling of belonging, that yearning to be part of something bigger than yourselves.
Islam offers that connection through the concept of servitude, guiding us towards a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment.
And it's not just a theoretical concept. It's something we can cultivate and practice every single day in our thoughts, our words, and our actions.
So how can our listeners start to integrate this concept of servitude into their daily lives?
It starts with intention.
Okay.
Make a conscious effort to align your actions with your values. To approach each day with a spirit of service, and to seek opportunities to make a positive impact on the world around you.
It's about recognizing that even the smallest acts of kindness, compassion, and generosity can have a ripple effect.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of prayer and reflection. Spend time connecting with your Creator, seeking guidance and expressing gratitude for His countless blessings.
It's through those moments of quiet contemplation that we can truly connect with our inner selves and find clarity in our purpose.
And as you embark on this journey of servitude, remember that you're not alone. There's a beautiful sense of community and support within the Muslim Ummah.
It's like a global family, united by a shared faith and a commitment to living a life of purpose and service to God.
And that community can be a source of strength, inspiration, and guidance as you navigate the challenges of life.
It's about lifting each other up, supporting each other, and encouraging each other on this path of spiritual growth and transformation.
And that sense of unity and purpose is something truly special, something that transcends geographical boundaries and cultural differences.
It's a reminder that despite our differences, we are all interconnected, all part of the same human family, all striving towards the same ultimate goal, to return to our Creator with a heart filled with love and gratitude.
And it's through acts of service, through compassion, through love, that we bridge the gap between ourselves and the divine, between ourselves and one another.
So it's not just about our individual relationship with God.
Right.
It's about recognizing our role in creating a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world.
Precisely. And that's where the true power of servitude lies.
It's amazing how a concept that might initially seem restrictive, like servitude, can actually be a pathway to liberation and empowerment. It challenges our conventional notions of power and success.
It certainly does. It flips the script, so to speak. True power, in the Islamic context, doesn't come from dominating others or accumulating wealth.
Right.
It comes from surrendering to a higher purpose, recognizing our place in the grand scheme of things, and aligning our will with the divine will.
And that alignment, that conscious choice to submit to God's will is what unlocks our true potential. It's like we're tapping into this infinite source of wisdom and guidance.
You could say that it's like plugging into a universal power grid.
Yeah.
On our own, our energy is limited.
Right.
But when we connect to that higher source, we can achieve things we never thought possible. And this is something that's emphasized throughout the Quran.
I'm thinking back to our earlier discussion about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him.
He was chosen to be a messenger of God, but even he, in his elevated status, was still referred to as our servant in the Quran.
It's a powerful reminder that no matter how high our station in life, we are all ultimately servants to God. And that's not a position of weakness or inferiority. It's a position of honor and privilege.
It's a humbling thought, but also incredibly liberating. It takes the pressure off this need to prove ourselves.
Right.
Or achieve some worldly definition of success.
Exactly. Servitude, it reorients our compass. Our focus shifts from external validation to internal alignment, from chasing fleeting desires to pursuing lasting fulfillment. It's about recognizing that true success lies in pleasing our Creator.
Right.
Not in accumulating worldly possessions or accolades.
And this shift in perspective, this embrace of servitude can have a profound impact on our lives, both individually and collectively. Think about the principles that underpin servitude. Humility, compassion, generosity, selflessness,
Right.
and a deep-seated commitment to justice and righteousness. These are the building blocks of a thriving society, of meaningful relationships, of a life well lived.
It's about cultivating this mindset of service, not just towards God, but also towards our fellow human beings.
And that's where the true beauty of servitude lies. It connects us to something much larger than ourselves, to a community of believers, to a purpose that transcends our individual ego.
Right.
It compels us to be better, to do better, to strive for excellence in all that we do.
And it's through that striving, that constant effort to align ourselves with God's will that we find true meaning and fulfillment in life.
It's a journey, a process of continuous learning, growth, and refinement, but it's a journey worth taking.
Yeah.
One that leads us towards our ultimate purpose, to return to our Creator with a heart overflowing with love and gratitude.
And for those who are just starting out on this path of servitude, or perhaps feeling a bit lost or overwhelmed, what advice would you give them?
I'd say take it one step at a time. Start with small, consistent acts of service. Make an effort to cultivate those qualities of humility, compassion, and generosity in your daily interactions. Remember that you are not alone on this journey. Connect with your local Muslim community. Seek guidance from those who've walked this path before you. Draw strength from the collective wisdom and support of the Ummah.
That's great advice. It's a reminder that this journey of servitude, while deeply personal, is also communal experience. We support each other, learn from each other, and inspire each other to reach our full potential.
And if you're looking for further guidance on how to apply the wisdom of the Quran to your daily life, I highly recommend checking out the Broke Entrepreneur channel. We have some fantastic resources on Islamic teachings, personal development, and spiritual growth.
It's a wonderful resource for those seeking to deepen their understanding and connect with a supportive community. As we wrap up this episode, I hope our listeners have gained a new appreciation for the profound meaning of servitude in Islam.
Yeah.
It's not a burden, but a gift, a pathway to liberation, empowerment, and true fulfillment.
Remember, the Quran's wisdom is timeless. Apply it today.